Established in 1637, Sandwich is the oldest town on Cape Cod. Sandwich Village, with its many historic landmarks and buildings, is quaint and inviting, a living museum and vibrant community. Today, we'll visit some of the highlights on a guided virtual walking tour. A beautiful walk you can take in any season. We'll start our tour in Mill Creek Park. Take a seat on a bench. You're facing Sham Pond, which is fed by an underground stream and forms a creek leading to the ocean. Ripples glide gently across the water's surface as a fish jumps and breaks the stillness. Another school of fish swims by, and a flock of seagulls cry overhead. The park is bordered by a brick path, and a variety of flowering trees provide shade. A map of Sandwich Village stands several feet away, and bronze plaques scattered around describe historic buildings in the village, some of which we'll visit. So let's head east, past the sign, in the direction of the pond. We eventually come to a crosswalk at a busy intersection where Main Street and Water Street meet. Cars are known to fly by faster than they should here, but we'll be okay. Now, the Dexter gristmill stands before us, clad in shake shingles with a gambrel roof. Thomas Dexter's mill went into operation in 1654. Sham Pond had already been dammed for an earlier mill. The Dexter mill operated continuously for 240 years. It underwent an historic renovation in 1961, and in 1962, the water wheel began turning once again, permitting visitors to witness a 17th century gristmill in operation. It's a serene spot, even as cars from the busy intersection race by behind us. From where we're standing, facing the mill, let's turn right and head along the brick walkway toward the community water fountain. Can you hear it? The water from this fountain comes from an artesian well that produces over 12 million gallons of fresh spring water yearly. Imagine bending down to cup your hands in the flowing stream to grab a sip. It's cold, crisp, and refreshing. A few feet away, we step onto a 15-foot replica of the famous Sandwich Boardwalk. Crossing it, we're walking over one of the Sham Pond fish ladders to arrive at the steps of historic Sandwich Town Hall, a blue-gray clapboard building that looks like a Greek temple. Built in 1834, it's possibly the oldest continually operating town hall in New England. In this building, volunteers enlisted in the Civil War and soldiers marched off to fight in World War II. And yet, it looks as if it were built yesterday. In 2011, it was honored with a Preservation Award for Rehabilitation and Restoration by the Massachusetts Historical Commission. Turning away from Town Hall, we'll cross Grove Street and arrive at Eaton Memorial Park with its two 100-foot Norway spruce trees and their evocatively curving branches. At the park's center soars a pillar with a statue of a Civil War soldier on top. Facing it, a more recent memorial honors Sandwich residents who served in the Vietnam War. Let's sit down on one of the cement benches and observe a moment of silence. Directly across from Eaton Park is the Sandwich Glass Museum. Deming Jarvis founded the Boston and Sandwich Glass Company in 1825, and it operated until 1888. The museum's facade was remodeled to reflect the old glass factory, and it showcases original Sandwich glass, rare glass exhibits, modern glass art, and glass-blowing demonstrations. Visitors from all over the country flock here to learn about the history of glassmaking in Sandwich and buy reproductions in the gift shop. The entrance to the museum is on Tupper Road. We'll head east on Main Street until we find ourselves back at Mill Creek Park. On the other side of the street is First Church. Founded in 1638, the church's facade is Greek Revival. Two pillars on either side of the entrance, crowned by a pediment, and a steeple atop a gable roof. It's often referred to as the Elvis Church, because in 1967, it was used as a backdrop for Elvis Presley's first gospel album, How Great Thou Art. First Church is also home to the oldest church bell in Massachusetts and one of the oldest in the country. Crossing Main Street, we'll pass the church on the left and soon come to the John Dillingham House, a yellow colonial with black shutters and a path lined by green shrubs leading to the front door. The house was built in 1740 and is still a private residence. Next door, in the former carriage house, you'll find the Dunbar Tea House. The Tea Room Wine Bar Restaurant specializes in British fare. It's painted the same pale yellow color as the residence, with emerald green awnings. Let's take a moment here to soak in the sounds of Sandwich. The lapping water of the nearby pond, the songbirds in the trees, the cries of seagulls, and yes, even the cars whizzing by. Now, we'll continue east on Main Street toward the heart of Sandwich Village. Frozen in time, the architectural style spans centuries, from stately colonials to elaborate Victorians, a mix of private homes and businesses, much as it's always been. Luscious, ancient trees line the street, their heads bent over the sidewalk. Retail shops cater to every taste, selling clothing, art, gifts, and antiques. We'll stop in front of the Sandwich Public Library on the right. A brick path, framed by two arching trees, leads to the entrance. The building has a smooth concrete facade, adorned with sculpted decorative pillars, and each window has a decorative star at its apex. The library sits on a lovely patch of grass that makes you want to run your hand through it. It's so soft and still a bit dewy. Just beyond the library, we come to another intersection where River Street meets Main Street. On the corner of River and Main is the Reverend Hale's house. The white clapboard house has a blue front door and 3 stories. Plant beds line the front of the house, and a cement walkway leads to the front door. Across from the Reverend Hale's house, sitting in the center of the village, is the First Parish Church. Built in 1833, the gray clapboard building has a red door, 3 massive stained glass windows, and a clock tower with a steeple. 3 rocking chairs sit in front of the property, a spot for people to stop and share a cup of coffee on Main Street. Although it retains its church-like exterior, the building has been privately owned for many years. In that time, it has been the home of yesteryear's doll museum and most recently, a residence and art gallery. About a minute's stroll brings us to the Daniel Webster Inn and Spa. The Federal-style building is painted a warm and inviting red and has black shutters and a hip roof, crowned by a widow's walk. Inside, you'll find a traditional pub, gift shop, and glass-walled conservatory with gardens beyond. The Fessenden family operated the inn as the Fessenden Tavern from mid-1700 to the 1800s, when Daniel Webster was a frequent guest. The building also served as the Patriots' headquarters during the Revolutionary period. On the same side of Main Street as the Daniel Webster is the Spotted Cod, a little red gift shop with a brick path leading to the front door. Inside, you'll find an eclectic mix of curated clothing and ocean-themed home decor. Walking past the Spotted Cod brings us to the Brown Jug. The shake shingle building has 2 large windows in front that offer passersby a glimpse of the wines and specialty foods on offer. The Brown Jug is also a restaurant with a mosaic brick oven imported from Italy. We've arrived at the end of the sidewalk and the intersection of Main and Jarvis Streets. On the corner is a shop called Modern Vintage, selling painted furniture and home furnishings. Above the shop is Modern Vintage Bridal. A bank of windows features an array of wedding gowns that sparkle in the sun. This is the last stop on our tour. Visiting Sandwich, the quintessential New England village, is like taking a step back in time. We hope you've enjoyed this virtual tour, and we invite you to come and experience the village in person, to dine, shop, stroll, and enjoy our rich history. We look forward to seeing you again.